Hey, so I'm going to jump right into your very first food log assessment. So this is strictly just to show you, based off of what you currently eat, what you can add in and adjust a little bit to better hit your macros. So I won't really hand over a meal plan to follow because it doesn't really teach somebody what the foods are, like what is what in terms of fat dense, high protein, and what your carbs are, higher and lower fat, and really breaking down what's what. So I like to show you your current food patterns and the foods that you like, and just simply how to add in certain things to get closer to your macros. Because when you get closer to your macros, and it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to make our way getting closer and closer, especially with focusing on protein first. But getting closer to your macros ensures that you're getting in the right calorie bracket, but also of the right ratios of the macros. So typically people are always low on protein and higher in carbs and or fats. So we try to work on that together to switch it around with the ratios. And I'll jump right in. So you could have added in like one more protein serving. The egg white bites are awesome from Tim Hortons. I get them all the time. So eat all of them. I don't know if that means you ate one of them, but the more egg whites, the better, obviously. But for breakfast, especially, you can have fats in your breakfast because it's going to keep you fuller for longer. So sometimes if you ate like a lean protein and a lean carb, like fruit and egg whites, you're going to be hungry super quick after that because you don't have much of those fats to really hold you over for a balanced meal. So in that case, you could have had even one of like I always get one of the croissant sandwiches with the egg in it, and I just say no bacon. Or you can have the bacon in it if you feel like you can fit that in your day and not go over your fats. But I just say just the egg, the regular egg, like the full like egg, no egg whites, egg, and on the croissant sandwich. Sometimes I'll have the cheese on it, sometimes I won't. But that's protein, carbs, and fats right there. And you could have some fruit with that as well, and you'd be fine. So just another example. Or if you were at home, you could have had the fruit along with turkey bacon and a protein shake with some peanut butter in it. So then you would have had your carbs, fats, and proteins. So it would have been more calories, and that's because the macros were higher. And you had fats, you would have had fats within that, and it would have kept you fuller for a long time. So for your lunch was great. I mean, you had something that you loved, like ice cream. You had some higher fat, higher carb items like pizza and ice cream. You can fit that in your day, which obviously you fit those in your day. You're actually under your calories, overall calories for the day. So by adding in these things, it's going to up your overall calories for that day. The chicken was great. It's always great to have a side of shrimp, a side of chicken. Anytime you're like out to eat, for example, sometimes when I get sushi out at a place, I'll get like a side of chicken or shrimp, and just to make sure I had enough protein and extra protein along with the sushi. But yeah, that was good. You could have had like one more protein serving in between lunch and dinner. Like say you had a high protein Greek yogurt, like the Oikos, or what are some other brands? Sagi's. I think that's what it's called. I'll make a list of the high protein yogurts. But just to get in another quick, easy, light, protein dense item that's lower fat. And with your dinner, the only suggestion I have is instead of the protein bar, you could have had the protein bar maybe for your within your breakfast, like added to that, or in between lunch and dinner. And then you could have swapped out the protein bar for another protein dense item. Like say you had some ground beef and you ate a couple tortilla chips and salsa with it. That would have been great. You would have had a ton of protein, more fats, because you were kind of low on your fats. You had room to have fats within any of your food items, put it that way. In some scenarios, that's not the case, but you did in this one. So ground beef would have been fine, ground turkey, your choice. Pretty sure they had the same fats in them, especially the leaner ground beefs. Or you could have had anything that would have given you more protein, because that's always the hardest, is upping our protein. And you can have some proteins that are higher fats. You can have most of them that are lean, just so at the end of the day you won't go over your fats with all of the other foods combined. But yeah, and also watch the sugar alcohols in the Built bars. Sometimes the sugar substitutes can be sugar alcohols, which can make people bloat. That specific sugar substitute makes my stomach hurt, but it's really all in what you can tolerate and what you can't with any type of food. And you can try tuna salad, just tuna mixed with Greek yogurt and any seasonings that you want to put in there. That is going to be a super high protein with one serving. So sometimes we have to get in a few servings in between meals of things like that in order to just get in more protein. And it's not going to be amazing or something we love, but think of it as, okay, I need more protein. Let's get this in real quick. You can try the Fairlife protein shakes or even the milk itself. 1 cup is a lot of protein. Sometimes I'll just have a big glass of milk and I'll add it to whatever meal or in between meals, and I know I'm just getting in more protein. But assume that any serving of protein is always going to be leaner or more fat dense depending on what it is. But protein dense items are going to range from 15 to 25, 30 grams per serving depending on what the item is. But yeah, I hope that helps as we get to know our food lists better and add to our food lists of, proteins that we find out that we like, and keep adding to the list and ways to make them more tolerable and more yummy, and different ways to make them. We will ensure getting in more protein, but it's a process, and this is the beginning, and this is great. But you want to ensure that you're getting in enough calories and never below 1,500 calories. So this is pretty low, especially with doing workouts and especially with moving throughout the day. And you're not going to want to feel unfueled and tired and under the calories, because then you won't be able to build and sustain adequate muscle. You're going to put in the work with your workouts and building muscle, but you won't be able to actually build that muscle with inadequate calories, with low calories. So we want to get to a place where we can build muscle and get that muscle foundation so our metabolism changes and our body composition changes. Because if people just do a low calorie bracket and they just do random workouts, a couple times a week, and not really progressively build muscle, they'll never get out of that zone of yo-yo dieting and yo-yo weight fluctuations and maybe losing weight but gaining it back, which is not what we want to do here. So yeah, definitely up the calories in that day. And with adding in those things that I suggested, you should have hit higher calories and hit your macros better. So each week I try to do this once a week with one of your food logs that'll teach you the most and show the most. And hopefully it helps. But let me know if you have any questions, and that wraps it up.